too long, but hang out for a bit. There we go. Whoa. Oop. Oop. A little oop a moment. Let's do this real quick. There we go. There we go. Cool. Let's see if things pick up or not. Because might do a stream for a bit here. Might not. I don't know. We shall see. We shall see what the activity looks like tonight. Yes. What? Chicago, Oregon, the city of brotherly love. Hey, what's up, Mikey? What to do? I was kind of thinking in my head, like, what should I do? But I was like, go watch a movie or something, or I can just kind of chill stream. Whatever. And I was like, fuck it. I'll do this. Ugh. Get the scarf off of me. It is cold as fuck out there. Like, winter came back for a little bit. It's okay. He just meant to for him to be as a doctor, bro. Oh, with the holy AI picture of Trump being a Jesus. Did he fucked on the Pope? It did apparently threaten to blow up Italy too. Apparently he was all mad at Italy as well. It's like, what the fuck did Italy do in anything? Besides have like a fascist prime minister right now. But that ain't my problem, I guess, you know? Just in a sense that's like, hey, divide and conquer, I guess, in a weird way. Two fascists are not exactly happy with each other. Cool. Why it goes such bad liars. I don't know. I feel like there's a pun in here, but I don't know if I know it. Because you can see right through them. Oh my god. I should have seen that coming. I should have seen that. Or could I? Because you can see right through it. But don't. I already had like a couple drinks. I was at a bar earlier, so I'm kind of a little bit like, meh. Business in the front? Not really. I mean, I treat it like that, I guess. Party in the back. Well, I mean, it's more of like business in the sides and party everywhere else. It's just look back. She's a man or woman. If you can't figure that out, then I feel bad for you. Might want to get your eyes checked there, bro. Pineapple Bear Hug tried to commit seppuku just outside my apartment, but I was able to save most of it, MC. Wait, you got a beer hug yourself and it exploded in your, like, it almost blew up right before you went in your apartment? What's with you and having beers, like, damn near explode, like, or do explode on you now? That happened at the protest where you're like, oh shit, I had a beer just explode in my backpack. And now a beer hug almost got fucking, sacrificed right outside of your apartment. Oh yeah, clavicular. Yeah, he OD'd. Now the question is, did he OD to the point of ODing on life? That's the question. Because frankly, like, no one asked to know about him. No one should, like, fucking care about him, but yet he's just kind of front upon us. So I was literally walking through the door and I heard a random hissing sound. I look at the beer and it's just a big old hole in the can. So something pierced your can. You got something in your backpack that, dude, that happened last time. You got something in your backpack that's piercing your cans and causing them to pop. I was like, oh, hell no. I grabbed the beer and held it sideways while trying to drag my bike. It wasn't in your bag? So how did it get popped? How did it get pierced? It was on my bike. So something hit it or something. I feel like Peter Thiel is using him as a blood boy, and propping him up with Thiel Lizard money. Oh my god, that would be a conspiracy. You hate Clav just because he reminds you of a low too normie you are. I barely think about him or give a fuck about him. Would a fucking normie walk out of a 60-minute interview like a little bitch just because he's all butthurt? He's not talking about looks mixed, or whatever the fuck. Yeah, but I'm the loser over here. Okay. Say 3/4 of it. My second favorite beer hug after the mango. Yeah, mangoes are really good. Honestly, that's probably my favorite for sure. And then it's either this or maybe the pineapple one, the two. I think honestly I prefer this a little bit more than the pineapple, but not by too much. Pineapple one's still pretty good. It's just very pineapple-y. Like the actual like IPA part of that drink doesn't really come through that much. Oh, here, I'll do this too real quick. Don't know all messages. Sweet. Ever kiss the tip of a hot dog before eating it? That's extra. Whoa. Huh? I just eat a hot dog because it's a hot dog. Like, I don't need to make out with it. Like, what the hell? But you know what? Yeah, maybe I do. Maybe I don't. Is that a problem? Maybe it's just such a immaculate dog that I just have to, like, kiss it or something, bro. Well, if that's just the case, well, tell you what. Oh my god, I got way too many fucking notifications, bitch. Yeah, get out of it. There we go. Did Logan go to Heritage? No. The girl that he was hanging out with at the bar that we were at, he's over at her place. And he went over to me, he's like, she wants me to go to her place, just us two. And you're with me. So I don't know what to do about that. And I was like, honestly, I was half debate on maybe heading back to the pad because I wasn't sure how long you're wanting to stay out, but I'm kind of a little feeling like, I'm ready to start retiring for the night. And he's like, all right. All right, that actually works. You just take the bus and just, I'll just do my thing. I was like, cool. So, ooh la la. Yeah, what's funny is that he's like, I'm not really looking or anything, or you know, wanting to do some relationship stuff, and then he's right now like smit with 2 different ladies, you know, like at different times and shit right now, and he's not like taking them or dating them or whatever, so he's not like in a relationship, but he's having his fun, so let him have it. I mean, you know, she's really cool with me and loves me a lot too, so I mean, I probably would have been fine to hang out, you know, and kick it with them too. I could have been like, I could have joined, but I think I know what's going on. You know what I mean? I don't think I need to be the third wheel. Even Logan kind of implied being like, yeah, you'd be a third wheel in this situation. So I'm like I said, it ain't that big of a deal anyway. And also, like, even if I were to kick it there for a little bit, maybe just to see her pad or some shit, I could still get back here in relatively decent time on my own if I really wanted to. Ever since he was double teaming those guys at basketball. Oh my god, that is a little coincidental, isn't it? He started doing some basketball runs, and then he double teamed some dudes, and now he's out there trying to find them bitches. Oh my god. Dude, I gotta tell Logan that. That's funny. Ever since he double teamed, you know, those men at basketball, he's been just getting the ladies. You know, speaking of, how about that Blazers game a little bit, eh? I don't. I'm sure you don't really give that much of a shit, Inky, but honestly, I was kind of like a little like, god damn, the last little bit of that fucking game was legit. I mean, it looked like Portland was going to win anyway, but they pretty much solidified it and guaranteed it after there was a 3-point attempt. And then the Suns rebounded. He fucked up and fell on his ass. And then the Blazers were like, jog, jog, jog. Just 2 of them jogging. One of them ran to get the ball. And he just sat there and then went, whoop, passed it to the other guy, just chilling, jogging, grabbed it, and just ran up and dunk a bitch. And it was 0.6 seconds left of the fucking game, too. Like, there was no way to come back for that, period. It was legit. Like, I was on the bus seeing that last little bit, and I was like, holy fuck. I don't really get into basketball that much at all, but even I was like, fuck, damn. Holy shit. Stressful and epic. I can only imagine what the crowd was like at the bar you guys were at, seeing that shit. Because that looked like it was pretty wild. I could have listened to it, though, because my earbud was dead, so I was charging it. So I just had to watch it silently. But, shit. I could just tell there was some good shit. Hey there, question mark? Well, hello there. Hello there. Oh, greetings. Do I spot what I see is for a PFP pack now? Good, I spotted one of my own in the wild. Ended up in a hospital last week. Ah, shit, that sucks. Shows your tips. I'm not really expecting any of that tonight. If anything, I'm really doing this just to kind of keep up my like watch hour thing, let that boost up, so I can get closer to that. I'm also just doing it for that at this point. And just chilling. It's either this or like watch a movie or something. So I was just like, it's like really one or the other. I was like, fuck it, I'll just do this. This'll do. I always like to see if one pops in the wild and shit. Actually, I think I've been in here before. Overheard a bit of shit Americans say about IRL. What would be specific about what like shit Americans say? I'm an American, so honestly, I mean, I really can't tell just because, you know, I'm an American. But I can at least say this much: there is shit that Americans say that is different from what others would say, depending on the region. Like I know what like New Yorkers, might say for phrases and figures of speech and shit are going to be different from a Chicagoan or someone from Norlud, PNW, so on and so forth. So, I mean, I guess collectively all together, I want to know what. I haven't watched a money or TV show in a long ass time. I get all anxious. Oh, a movie. Honestly, like you just gotta. For me personally, it's just more about like something that just seems kind of interesting, or maybe a movie I haven't seen in a long time, and I just go with it. Like the other night, I watched Dead Snow. It's a Norwegian indie film that's like a horror slash comedy movie, and it's about these Norwegian like medical students that are out in the fucking fjords way out in North Norway, and Nazi zombies rise from the dead and want to grab a bunch of gold and treasure that they happen to mysteriously run upon and all that other shit, and chaos ensues. It's a fun movie though; it's really good. But there's another one too that's more on the comedy side, more so than the horror side, and that one's just as good. A lot more chaotic and a lot more unhinged, honestly, but in a good way though. There's like magic and shit in that one, and it's just like what? It's like okay, but it works. Counter a female American tourist in Berlin last week. She claimed that we German people must be dirt poor even without medical endurance or medical insurance. She only had to pay like 150 euros to get her elbow fixed. She was still in the ER waiting for her discharge paperwork and some painkillers. She couldn't fathom that her medical bill would be footed by taxpayer money, and she only had to pay for medication a small fee. Yeah, because that's what universal healthcare is about. Like because it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to like it's like free at the point of service inherently, but that's kind of the point of it. Like, yeah, depending on how a system like that works, you might have a small fee. You might have to maybe pay for the medications, but now instead of paying some bullshit premium like we have here in the privatized healthcare system, it's backed by the government to some extent, either because they're negotiating on your behalf or they're the ones selling it because they are buying it from the medical companies that are manufacturing it, one or the other, or some other process usually. So basically, it's like now the foot of the bill is mostly via taxes, and maybe worst case scenario, you might have to pay a little bit here and there. But it's even then, you don't have to break the bank, and also there's like payment plans and other shit. Like it's not like going to kill you if you can't pay for it right off the bat. And yeah, Americans can't fucking fathom it. I mean, I've only been to Iceland as like a country I've been out of like been to, outside of the US, and even there, like like there was I think my mom forgot her pain medication when we went over there. So we asked around, at one of the clinics, like, hey, do you have like a basic, kind of prescribed or like over counter variation of this specific drug? And they were like, oh, we actually have like a prescription. What's her name and stuff? And they're just like, here, just we'll have like a little set prescription. It's just this amount for a week for how long she needs to be here for whatever. And here you go. It was simple. Like it didn't have to pay a fucking thing. It's just like, here, what's her basic info? And there you go. That was practically about it. And I looked at my dad, who's very much like that, by the way. He's like, private is, it's like this universal health care and single payer and socialism health care is not going to work. Yuck, yuck. I looked at him like, notice how you didn't have to pay for that? I looked at him like, and he's like, yeah. And I was like, it's because they have a nationalized healthcare system here in this country, and the people are better for it. Like, it don't matter how big, small, or whatever the fuck the country is, and how many people are there or not. Like, that is something. If a small ass country like Iceland can fucking do it, then fuck, like the U.S. can easily do it. And maybe, arguably, if you think about it, if we were to have a system like that in the U.S., we could export some of that shit. Like, if we could potentially, hypothetically, have, like, one of the best, like, healthcare industries in the fucking world if we had a nationalized system. But, no. Profit matters more. Do my like Americans take advantage of free shit? When it comes to healthcare, it's definitely not. Most Americans don't take advantage of trying to use their insurance or healthcare because even then, you still get goat fucked in some way. Most Americans don't want to go to the hospital or the doctors and tend to be a lot more skeptical just on the virtue of finances. If you took that out and took that, fear away, people will have better health outcomes and be able to get better treatment and thus could actually probably maybe be more productive and thus get back to work easier and more quickly. Get proper physical therapy if you can't afford it. If you break your leg, and now instead of like maybe 4 to 6 months, it's now like 8 months to 12 months to get your shit healed. So, I don't know. I'd say the data just says otherwise, and the outcomes just prove otherwise there, bud. And you know what? If there are some lazy Americans that want to take advantage, at least in this case, the healthcare system that's free at the point of service, fuck it. That's the point of the service. I don't care if they feel like they might have like some stomach bug and they go to the doctors to go get that treated and it ends up just like, you need to just eat like a protein shake or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. The point of having like a system like that is so if you feel like something's wrong with your body, you can go get it checked out. When I have a doctor at all, I just go to Asian pharmacy once a year to get vaccines. Well, there you go. I'm happy to have our socialist communist social systems. Yeah. I mean, and also like the idea, I kind of find it a little silly this idea about welfare abuse because the whole point of those programs is so that people, whether they're homeless or a baby mama or are just a working person, like me or something that needs like a little extra help with EBT food stamps or some shit. I don't really care too much about what it, who is using it. If they need it, then all right. I do think, maybe arguably there can be an idea of like if, you are able to at least supplement yourself in a lot of ways and you can work and all that other shit, then maybe you don't get as much, but you still should be able to have a baseline need that can at least still make it comfortable for you to live. And that's just it. Comfortable to live. They don't mean to like thrive off of random luxuries and use like that to go buy a fucking Louis Vuitton bag. But that's just, I mean, if that's really the case, then at that rate, then I'm just more mad at the culture of consumerism and, people being consumed by that. At that point, I tend to be more mad at the, system pushing this hyper consumeristic culture and economic system that we have, where it's more important to have a nice flashy new bag or that cool new jacket or whatever the fuck, or the new phone that comes out and all that shit. People less on food stamps when they can afford to buy their own groceries. Definitely not completely true, bro. I've been on food stamps for my family and shit, and there's times that maybe, I got paid that day and I could probably afford to, pay for the groceries that one week. But the next week, oh shit, hey, we need some stuff. But can't really afford it as much, but that's why the food stamps are there, so I can keep my own personal money that I made and say, hey, I could put that to something better, like rent or bills or other shit, or a phone bill or whatever. Or maybe saving up for something that would help me save money in the long run, like, maybe a better computer or whatever the fuck, So I can, or maybe a phone, a new one because my old one's starting to fuck up and die, you know what I mean? Like, get, crash out. Or like the screen barely works. I used to like getting new phones, but now everything's hell overpriced, so it costs over $600 for the last year's model. I know, it's ridiculous. And that's just another factor too. How come is it that wages have been stagnant in the United States since the fucking 70s, but yet, inflation, prices, and production, amongst other aspects of the economy, have continued to rise? At least for the most part, up until recently, due to other fucking bullshit factors that we don't need to get into right now yet. It's not as easy to just get a job if they all basically pay the same fucking wage, maybe with like a 50-cent difference. And thing is, the job that I was talking about from earlier as my example was a job that I had for over 9 years. That was a union job that paid pretty well. I was making about 21 something an hour, by the time I was done with the company and shit. So it's not, I mean, honestly, I was wanting to move on from that job at some point anyway. It was more of a kick in the ass to do so. But at the end of the day, it's like, the wage part wasn't my complaint, at least with my specific job. But I recognize that there's plenty of other people out there that don't have that. They don't have a union to be able to make sure that they get a wage that actually, works for them and is livable because the company can fucking afford it. And if they can't, then arguably they probably shouldn't be a business. Or maybe the managers and the higher ups should probably take a pay cut because they don't need to be paid so fucking insanely, exponentially versus, the average worker. Like, what's the average, gap between the CEO and, like, the average worker in the United States? It's like 100 something times the difference. So, like, like for the Safeway or, like, like the president of that company or the CEO of that company is making, like, at least 100 times, if not more than that, than what I make, weekly. And that motherfucker is living a lap of luxury and then doing whatever the fuck else, buying a yacht and shit. And it took a union for me to make sure I at least got something out of it. That's a little bit better than minimum wage bullshit. Which this is another thing. We're not even talking about welfare at this point. We're talking about labor. We're talking about like a movement that can help uplift people away from welfare too. I'm an advocate for both. There needs to be a voice for people to be able to have an ability to voice concerns about their grievances and their problems when it comes to being on the bottom end of things. Not just on the virtue that they should have, social programs as well, but also the virtue they should have that voice said, not just in government, when it comes to politics and democracy and shit, and organizing or protesting or any other form, but also when it comes to the workplace. Luckily, I'm a certified tradesman. Aspiring to finding a job's go easy for me. Yeah, unfortunately, it's pretty difficult out here in America right now. It's like really the worst time to try to find one given the fucking economy, but but I mean, it's not like it's impossible, but it's just literally on the virtue of the current administration and their actions in this past fucking year. It has been exponentially a lot more difficult. I've even met other people that have like, been looking around for a while too, being, just like I have, off and on, for different shit. I'm just like, fuck. All right, at least it feels a little better now. I'm not the only one, but I'm like, god damn, dude. It's like expensive skill set. Some areas are hiring, some aren't. Well, that's true too. Like, skill set matters. There's a lot of different elements of, like your town or your city just ain't gonna have, certain skill sets that you have outside of that one place that you were working before. It's like there's a lot of places, and a lot of elements where you do kind of get shut in, when it comes to these issues. And I mean that a lot of it's understandable. Like, yeah, if like let's say you're, you want to do trucking, you need a CDL, but if you haven't done it before, excuse me, then it's going to take a lot longer and a lot, like a while for that to be the case. Like you need experience and shit. Like some, when it comes to that, obviously a lot of it does make sense, but at the same time, there's plenty of places that I've even noticed this where, on their websites or even like, outside, they'll say we're hiring, but you talk to them, they're accepting applications. That's different. That doesn't mean they're hiring, but they're accepting apps because they might be hiring. Maybe. Like it's weird and something I have noticed as a pattern too. And I think it's a way to kind of get out of, like this idea of like, oh, we're going to, we have not as many workers as we need, but this is good for profit and this and that and shit. So let's just say we're hiring, accept applications, but not actually fucking do anything with them. Just let it build up and just have a file and just not do shit with it. Until we actually have to start hiring people because now that one or two other people got, quit or something. Probably because they're sick of being overworked. So probably maybe some shit like that. Just move to where you're needed. It's not that simple for a lot of people. A lot of people don't got the money and the means to do so, and especially if they're in between jobs, like worse, and if you don't have that much savings, how are you gonna do it? It's not as simple as just moving, for a lot of people. Like let's say, for example, I was like in a lumber trade or something like that. And the most opportunities right now are out in like Washington, for example, and I live in Oregon, so cross state lines. And the only way for me to do that would to be basically moving to little chucklefuck bumblefuck out of like nowhere, basically like in that little, like a small lumber town, essentially, that might be like out in Washington. I know there's a few of them out there, but it's like, for me, it could be done, but I would need to make sure I have, a lot of things different saved, and also make sure like what is like around that area on top of the job. Is there things that I can actually do? Is there like some life around there? Like how close is it to Seattle or maybe Portland? Hitchhike, get roommates. Yeah, these are obviously elements that could be done, but again, not everyone has the ability to just hitchhike. Full million excuses. We're talking about just blank hypotheticals here, like, and examples, because fundamentally the whole point, bring it back, full circle to the conversation, is about the idea of welfare and the idea of subsidizing people, and including uplifting working class people and shit, and recognizing, the problems that are in the system, and recognizing that needs to change. The random examples, hypotheticals I'm talking about are real, in the sense that people have to deal with that shit. But just blindly being like, and dismissively being like, well, just do this, do that, doesn't exactly help, for one, and for two, is actually generally more condescending than, productive. Like, maybe we should talk about the root cause as to why these problems are the way they are. Like, fuck the idea of like, oh, what I ought to do. Like, maybe the root, issue here is the fact that it's a problem in itself. I mean, obviously, there's plenty of different options and methods and means of doing, of getting out of shit, or at least trying to do something different. No one's saying that, duh. But how easy or how hard is it, depending on factors and circumstances for people. And some people don't have the means or aren't in a position to be able to take a risk like that. Or at least big ones like, hitchhiking, hopping a train or something. And I've met people who've done that shit, and I admire it in a lot of ways, because it's like, shit, you're taking just a leap of faith and seeing where the fuck it goes. I mean, there's something to that. I mean, it's like, ultimately, there aren't even disrespect to that kind of fucking life at the end of the day. Like, I'm a little bit of a wanderer, kind of person. Like, whenever I'm out camping or hiking and shit, I love just like going on off trails and doing other shit that's, like basically the quote unquote off the beaten path, and it's fun. You find new things, you discover new shit that most people probably haven't seen. If you apologize, earn more money. I mean, that's kind of what it feels like it's down towards, which, I mean, it's technically, I guess, true if you want to just be blunt with it, but still, it's not that simple for a lot of different people. Thing is, there's means of being able to make money that doesn't necessarily have to, be a jabe. You can do all sorts of, ways of making money. But it also, like I said, depends on if those options are available. And that's not for some people. I'm lucky to live in a space, in a place like here in Portland, where there at least is an ability to have those type of options. Albeit they should be expanded further, but nonetheless, they are around, and they are available. If you're drowning, just breathe. Yeah, if you got like a fucking concrete, ankle brace on you and you're falling through the ocean and you're drowning, you just gotta breathe, bro. Just take some deep breaths. You'll be okay. Just gotta count to 10. Nomads is freedom. Sure. But also having, mobility in a sense of economically too helps with that, doesn't it? I mean, shit, one of my, dreams I'd like to do is eventually have like a conversion van or some shit, or like a little camper van and travel the country. That's being pretty fucking nomadic. Like, save up enough to where I can, like, for a month, just go out into one chunk of the U.S. and just drive there and just hang out in that little area, That'd be cool as fuck. I'm the bike guy around this part. Yeah, like, Ripsy's the bike guy over here, too, anyway. He's literally building one. If you're hungry, just go find some food to eat. Well, that's the funny irony of it, though. Like, because let's say that I am. I got no money, but I go to the grocery store and I go grab some fruit and eat it. Guess what happens? You're going to jail. So, wait, if I'm hungry and I need to go out and get food, just find something to eat, bro. Well, if the only thing is to just literally go take some from the grocery store, then what the fuck? Like, I can't just go to, like, a restaurant and be like, can I please have something for free? They're going to tell you to leave. Dumpster dive? Oh my god. I mean, the dumpster dive thing is a 50-50 thing. And depending on some places, and some businesses, when it comes to the food, if you're chill with the workers there, they might let you know when they're trashing out their old food that they're gonna throw away. And they'll, like, put a separate bag, set aside for you and shit like that. Like, there's tricks around that. I've done it for people before. And it's like, all right, if you really want something, I mean, just wait a little bit. There's like the big dumpster shit that's, back here, but you have to go all the way around. I'll just leave a couple bags of food for you and just be right there on the side of the emergency exit door. You'll see it. And every time I get off work and I go around the corner to see if they picked it up, nothing there. They pick it up and they just fucking do whatever. Go back to the camp and eat it, whatever. You know what I mean? I've done it for people before. How do you expect to get ahead of life if you won't dumpster dive? I know, right? Yeah, let's dumpster dive, but then after that, after I have my dumpster dive lunch, let's have a job interview or something, you know what I mean? And smell like a literal dumpster. Yeah, because that totally is how to do it, you know what I mean? Yeah, because... the thing is, like, I find it funny, too, a little bit. Like, I got to roast a little bit here. Like, my guy. I mean, you're saying I'm being pessimistic, but I'm really 8 here. I'm definitely, like, I generally ain't the one being the pessimist here. I can have grievances about the issues at hand when it comes to why this system is the way it is, or why these issues are a thing. But, it's like, my dude. I mean... This isn't it, Chief. I'm sorry, it just isn't. Work at my own place, work at a garbage sorting plant. Honestly, in a weird way, that probably wouldn't be a terrible job, but I know someone that worked in a job like that before, and it was, like, very mind-numbing as fuck from what he said. He literally would daydream, like, movies like The Lion King and shit like that just to get through his day. Like, literally from start to finish, he would, like, memorize it, basically. I was like, fuck. So, I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, like, I think it'd be kind of cool in the sense that, you would have, somewhat of a machinist experience, Like, being able to, like, do some, kind of work around machinery so you can be able to, get more experience with stuff like that to get into potential introductory field in like another factory or warehouse and plant or something. So, I mean, ultimately, it's not really a bad gig in itself, just on that alone, but, you know. Listen to music past the workday. That's what I usually do. Problem is, though, like, you can't... You gotta, like, it depends on the workplace. Like, some places will just be like, nope, you can't have it because we need to communicate and this and that. Like, your earbud needs to be like the radio or whatever. So we can be like, hey, yo, blah, 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 you know. Like, I mean, some places will be like that. So I'm just like, I mean, I guess if you brought, like, a speaker, I guess you could. At least in, like, a warehouse environment, no one would give a fuck. But when I was in retail... you basically were kind of fucked. I mean, you could have a speaker in the back if you wanted other people to like bump some tunes or something, or you know, and this and that, which we did. But you had to have it up to a certain volume. You couldn't just be blasting that. But usually once you closed up like the deli that we had, at that point, you know, you could have a earbud in, and that was pretty much about it. After that, it's just like, as long as you have at least 1 year out so you can still hear people, and like if a manager comes up and you're like, hey, blah blah blah, you know, you at least have that ear open. But it, you know, it was one of those things where if it wasn't those exceptions, they were like, nope, we're gonna get out on your ass about that. Even if it was just like on the counter too, like if you had like, you know, an earbud or your phone on the counter, like in the back or some shit, that'd be like, hey, what the fuck? You know, it's like, whoa. Those can play music and interrupt if someone's talking. Works of our hearing protection. Oh, nice. Shit, I should probably, you know, maybe see if I could find something like that for like Bluetooths and shit. Or, you know, I'm sure, like, you know, if I, you know, were to be at a workplace or that requires something like that, I'm sure I can easily find something to set up like that. But I don't know. That would be pretty cool as fuck. I know they have pretty like intricate little like radio systems these days and shit, man. Like, cause I even found out like in football, for example, like instead of having to like yell out, you know, things like 42 1 5, you know, kind of shit. Now they could just like blah blah blah, you know, just kind of more talk like I'm talking, because they have like mics and radios in their helmets now, to where the coach and other players can now hear like what's going on, you know, but it's actually like in a headset. And they got mics so they can also talk, you know, as well, and all that shit. So it's like it's actually pretty cool that it's something I've learned that it's been a thing for a minute now too. And I was like, oh shit, really? Because I really never thought that, you know, those would be a thing in those helmets, but because you didn't, you know, looking at them, you would think they're just a helmet, you know, that's it. But well, they got some little gears and little tech in that shit. I'm like, oh, fancy, fancy. If your job is a little garbage, your employer needs to make you comfy. And if not, you could be a Waluigi, the warehouse Luigi. All you have to do is pay us to fucking live. All you have to do is just pay us for us to fucking live. You could be like, yeah. Not advocating nothing, but yeah. In Mario Smash Bros. Actually, not in Minecraft this time, but you know, in Mario Smash Bros. What are the blood? Well, thank you. Falcon kick. Are you blowing down the stairs too? Why would you want to know? We have a fire every day. I just need to stop putting out. Wouldn't even be liable. What? What type of workplace has a fire a day? Yeah. If that's the case, I would just stop fucking dealing with it and be like, just, you know what? Let it get worse. So then these motherfuckers can just fix it. because that's just ridiculous. Yeah, unless it's a kitchen, because there are certain foods and shit where it's like, fucking fried up and whatever, like, stir fry every now and then you get like, whoa, some flames and shit. But he's implying that it's like not just like, some quick flames in the kitchen. He's meaning like a fucking fire. Like, I mean, that's a little different. I mean, single-use vapes that burst into flames at times. People recycle wrong. Oh, that. Well, I guess that's not really the problem of the workplace. But that is a little, like... Dude, I hate single-use vapes. Even if, like, we have single-use vapes, can we at least, one, have a recycling program for them or some shit? And for two, have the battery be, like, able to be taken off of the fucking thing so then you can dispose of that or something? In a separate shit. And then, like... I mean, it's like, bruh. Are advocating for firemen to stop putting out fires? Sparky ain't a fireman. He works at a fucking sorting plant and shit. Like a garbage plant, I think. Because if, implying that there's disposable vapes in the, in the garbage and shit that are getting all fucked and blown up and causing fires, that's probably what's going on. If I'm having to take a random assumption and guess. Germany's banning them now. They're trying to be banned. They just need to be regulated better. I mean, that includes like the batteries and shit like that too. Like, I mean, they just need to be better regulated. I really don't think banning them is going to solve anything on that because, frankly, if you think about it, it's going to make the problem worse because now it's a black market for vapes. Now that's going to, get worse when it comes to these weird, sketchy vapes that people are probably either making or, importing, illegally into the country. Like, it's just one of those things where it's just realistically it's going to cause more problems than solving them. I would probably try to petition your government to rethink that. Maybe a deposit for those, but yeah. Yeah, something at least, People are actually getting diabetes from the sugar and vapes, apparently. Why would there be fucking sugar in a goddamn vape? It's just like that, like, vegetable glycerol shit, right? And then it's like a little flavoring with nicotine. That's basically, it's just what it is. It's not, like, good for you, but it's also not, like, gonna destroy your lungs or nothing necessarily. So I'm like, huh? I mean, I'm what? Where's the sugar come from? Is it, like, a weird, like, sketchy, like, vape distribution thing or some shit that I'm just not aware of? Because I know about, like, lead seeping into vapes and then, like, the batteries being fucking jank and shit. Like, I know about a lot of that when it comes to, like, vapes that aren't, officially produced by, like, actual companies that are making them that you can find at a fucking vape store or something. But, like, that just, why? Wouldn't that shit just caramelize and, like, crystallize your fucking lung? Like, that would actually be, like, dangerous, wouldn't it? Get, like, smoke, like, sugar vapors that crystallize in your fucking lung. Like, what? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know about that. That's what I mean. Like, we can regulate this shit. We don't need to fucking, like, ban it. We just need to regulate it so we just don't do shit like that because that just, no. That don't sound good. That doesn't sound like it should be a thing. I said we hack them and turn them into grenades. You realize that your fucking phone could be practically a fucking grenade, dude? Like, the batteries that are in these things can literally explode off like a fucking thermite grenade. A vape ain't no different. Like, they already are likely to be like that depending on if the battery's fucked. Okay? Like, I mean, if I were to literally straight damage this battery and shit like that, like, it will probably explode or something. And go off like a thermite grenade and it won't, like, stop for, like, at least another hour or so. Good thing I don't vape around, smoke a cig or a hookah. Arguably, all of that's not good for you. And if you're gonna take nicotine, probably those weird little pouches like Zyn or some shit would probably be better. And even then, that's not good for you. It's as if probably nicotine addiction ain't a good thing. I would know. I mook sometimes and put weed and tobacco together occasionally. So, yeah. Not good. Don't do it, kids. So I can blow our phones whenever. That's with pagers. Because there's literally like a mass pager attack like not that long ago, if anyone remembers, like when it comes to like Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq, like there was literally like hundreds of different pagers that just randomly blew up on motherfuckers. Just randomly. Like in a course of like throughout a whole day, or at least, in the span of like an hour, in a day. It was just like, what? And I think it was also known a month or so prior that Israel and Mossad were using things like phones and pagers because those are still, old school ones like Nokia's and shit, because those are still pretty popular in places like in the Middle East. So they, developed their own versions and then slipped them in regular pagers and other shit that are being manufactured and, imported and sold, and slipped them in. So then it would just be distributed out eventually, and they were set on timers to eventually blow up at a certain point. We literally had a phosphorus fire once. We even had a white phosphorus. Who even has white phosphorus at home? I'm not even going to put a fixture around there in Berlin. Will drown garbage within a week. Dude, white phosphorus? Dude, you had white fucking phosphorus as a fire in your... Dude, who has white phosphorus? What the fuck? That's used in like war and shit, bro. Like what? Who's just got that laying around in their home? What the fuck? Dude, somebody obviously was about to get caught by the German government or some shit, and he just had to ditch it, and it ended up being your problem. Oh no, dude. What the fuck? Yo, what? That's a little wild, bro. Holy shit. Stopped everything years ago sober. Well, not a bad thing. I'll admit, being merry and having a drink or two and smoke weed and all that. Psychedelics too, I ain't gonna quit that, but definitely avoid everything else. I've Coke a couple times before in the past, and honestly, it just... I'd rather just drink coffee. Or at least chug a coffee and then feel like, for like, a few hours, let alone like 10 minutes. So, and then just crash really hard and then pass out and sleep. Legit, not even gonna lie, Coke guy sucks. I don't care that people do it. It affects them in a way that obviously they like it. But, meh. Pretty much down to drinking once a week and vaping. Miss psychedelics, so it's been years. Yeah, it's been a while since I've had some. I still got a little bit, but I'm just like, when should I take them though? You know what I mean? I don't, like, I can't let them just sit forever. They're gonna, eventually go bad. But, I mean, not really like bad, but, the potency is gonna wear off. So I'm just like, If I do it, probably wouldn't want to do them sooner than later, maybe. I just want to find a good time, or at least feel, find a time that feels like it would be right for it, I just don't think that has happened yet. Yeah, it's spring. Summertime's coming along. Yeah, I mean, the time is now. No, it's not. Dude, no, I mean, maybe a microdose would be fine. But, dude, like, I would want to just eat them all right now. Like, I don't really have that much. I actually have it in this little bag over here when, it's helped my homie move and shit. So I'm just kind of like, at this point, like, I'll just leave it here. But now I'm kind of like, when do I want to take them? You know what I mean? If you really want to go take a trip down to Eugene and find a couple hippies. What about no, hold on. You know, Portland, have you heard of Loud and Lit? Or Petapalooza? The broader Petapalooza shit that happens in Portland? Dude, there are people all over when it comes to Loud and Lit that will legit be like, yo, you want like some tabs? You want some ecstasy? This and that. Like, they will literally just openly, blatantly be like, yo, you want something? Yo, here's my Insta and this and that. Here's my Cash App. You know, shit like that. Like, they will come around. There will be people that will wander around just on the virtue of selling shit like that. There's people selling Jello shots. There's people selling, like, all sorts of shit, bro. You haven't? I mean, if you got a bicycle, that's all you need. Dude, go look up Loud and Lit. Dude, you would probably legit love it. I haven't been to every year, but I actually have a few YouTube shorts of Loud and Lit as well. So if you go on my channel and go on my shorts, you should find a few videos from Loud and Lit. I think from last year, but did I do the year before? I don't think so, but I know I made some videos of Loud and Lit from last year, which I think Loud and Lit is in June, if I remember correctly. It's either June or July, one of the two. No, it's a whole fat bike ride. It's a big bike ride that I forgot exactly where it starts, but it starts at a park. I forgot the exact name of the park though. And it's a bike ride that goes to the old Lloyd Center parking lot, which now that might change because they're tearing down the Lloyd Center and everything. So, and they're going to make something new out of that and all that shit. So maybe this might be the last year they're going to do it there, but it might change eventually. And then it's a big party on the top of the Lloyd Center parking lot in the parking garage. And then it's one more ride to the waterfront, kind of like around Salmon, shit like that. You know, so it's like one of those things where it's fun. Like I said, it's a whole event, official. Like I think on Instagram and like Facebook, if you look up like Pedal Palooza, you should be able to find it pretty easily. But I'm pretty sure they have their own website too and stuff as well. Not like Loud and Lit specifically, but Petapalooza, does. And Loud and Lit is one of the official rides of Petapalooza. And what's awesome about it is that anyone could petition to have their own ride and have it scheduled, and all that, and then they can have a set. Because there's all sorts of different little rides. I've been to different rides that are like, there's like this silly little unicorn ride once. There was this 80s like kind of disco themed ride once. There was a Iron Maiden slash like Metalhead ride that happened. There was like a Honor of Lemmy Kilmister Motorhead ride that happened. There was a lot of different rides that are kind of themed for different stuff. But Loud and Lit is like probably, I would say, is the biggest one because, well, it's loud and lit. So, I mean, it's probably like the big shebang out of all of Petapalooza, I would say. I love the bike rides. They have them on Saturdays usually when we get started. Forgot the name of it though. I don't know. Like I'm guessing like regularly on Saturdays. The only thing I could think of that happens regularly on Saturdays, especially by the waterfront, would be this thing called Renegade. And I've been to that a few times. But it's like that's the only thing you think of, but it's not a bike ride though. It's just like a spot where people get together and do, music and hang out. It's like a little like DJ party basically. Every so often there might be some bands that show up and stuff like that. But I will admit it's mostly just where people do psychedelics and whippets and stuff like that and just hang out listening to a lot of music. It's really just like a gathering that happens. The beans being pretty chill right now. Oh yeah. Jazzy was actually kind of dreaming and going. Whoop, whoop, whoop. She's right next to me. Vito's in his was in his cage. Oh, now he's over here. Hey, what's up, buddy? Yeah, they're being chill beans. Aw, you sweet boy. Aw, this your little chest. Little chest. I always love calling her a little chunk. Because look at this. She is just straight up a chunk. She's just this all chunk. Big booty. All this booty. All this chunk. But tiny little feet. And a tiny little head. And then a chunky, floofy neck. But there's barely a neck because it just kind of amalgamifies and morphs into her body. Because it's all chunk. Mine's cute. Whoop whoop whoops when he dreams too. Yeah, it is so cute when that happens. I usually do attend critical mass. My big cargo trike is a perfect sport vehicle. Oh, nice. Is that like a bike ride that happens out in Germany and shit? Which, if so, that's cool. Sounds like they got some similar culture that we do out here a little bit when it comes to like Pedapalooza style stuff. I just don't know what it is, so I haven't heard of it before. Love the bike rides. I read that part. About to get your e-bike fixed, so perfect timing. Oh, fuck yeah, dude. And also, chances are that if you do attend Loud Lit this year, you might find me. Maybe. You might find me and my friends. Who knows, dude? I wouldn't be surprised. Most of Europe is more bike-centric. And just more pedestrian-centric and friendly. It's every month to show that cyclists are part of the traffic. Oh, fuck yeah. That's awesome. Nice. Yeah, like, that's why I love Europe a lot more when it comes to that. Because even Iceland, with it being very small and a lot of roads, and shit going on over there, it's, like, a lot more pedestrian-friendly in the towns. Like, you pretty much have, like, your main roads, and then you got, like, a lot of transit, and then just very pedestrian-friendly, like, roads and just infrastructure. Like, even outside the main, outside of the main roads, a lot of the roads were basically like mixture of driving slash pedestrian. So it was very common for people to be driving really slow and having people walking off and on in the middle of the road too. It's not like encouraged, obviously. You don't want to just stick on the road, but like going back and forth and like it's meant to be like pedestrian prioritized to an extent. But obviously, like, they don't want you just like sitting there in the middle of the road or anything, But, it's one of those things that I've just noticed that was out there, including with bikes and shit. Like, it was just nice. I loved it. So that's why I love Portland a lot, because even though it's not exactly like that, at least it is trying to be more centric towards that. We are kind of a weird city when even the way our government's formed is kind of Europeo-esque, like Euro-esque, strange mixture of like the traditional American systems that we see, also with like a little bit of a European-esque kind of thing with it too. A little weird. But, I mean, in a way, it makes it a little better. I mean, I would say there's probably cities out there that arguably might be better in different factors on pedestrian friendliness. Like, I would say, at least for transit, Chicago's definitely, arguably better than Portland to an extent, from my experience, just on how massive and extensive it is. Like, I mean, Portland isn't as big with it. It's really nice, for the most part, but it's not really extensive and huge. But, I imagine, like, New York's probably better in certain factors for the most part, I would say. I mean, I know there's some issues, and especially when it comes to fare and all this other shit. Like, so, I don't know. Like, I don't know what would be like the best city when it comes to that, at least out here in the U.S. I've heard from my friend Ripsy that Pennsylvania is actually pretty, good when it comes to its pedestrian friendliness and shit like that. Which I've never been to that city before, but I would love to check it out though. So he's been there at least I think a couple times, but I'd say, like, you know, all in all, I'd take his word for it. There's something called the Schönfeld. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Schönfeld. We're on Berlin. We're at the city Autobahn and party. Usually we have a big order of beers and wine. Schönfelders. Also have Coast beers. Nice. Just sounds like a typical time of me and the boys. To be honest, I'm a bit nervous riding in New York City. Bikers there just bob and weave through traffic like it's nothing. Oh, yeah, I've seen that, man. Have you seen that one YouTuber that does like DoorDashing or whatever the fuck, that rides his bike throughout New York City and shit? I forgot exactly his channel name right off the top of my head, but dude, I've seen him like riding his bike, and I'm like, dude, even though it's never really enforced, bro, you're breaking so many laws that here in Portland you would just be like a fucking madman and an asshole. I mean, I'm like, I dig it because he's a hustler and he's always got like bags on bags of food sometimes while no handing it with no like hands on handlebars, hustling for traffic, bobbing and weaving. On top of, you know, carrying all this shit and not having hands on the handlebars. I'm like, you're a crazy fuck. I admire the talent, but I'm like, yo, you need to like try to be a little bit more safe with your shit there, dog. I think a lot of the reason why he does that is just on the virtue of the content, though, which, gotta do what you gotta do, right? I've actually been thinking about, not often, but every so often, maybe like doing little food reviews of different places around Portland. One I want to do is actually a real that I'm thinking I might do as a way to start is this little taco spot that's a little bit of ways up the road that sells dollar tacos. I'm not joking; they're $1, but they're actually pretty good. And the thing is though, if I do, I want to kind of grab more than just that. I want to maybe grab like a tamale, maybe like one other item on that they got, just to kind of get a general review about it, on top of just showing it off and being like, yo, anyone in Portland, check out this little like hole in the wall corner that no one really knows about, but is actually legit fucking amazing. So I mean, just on the virtue of the prices, I mean, it's just really good because I mean they got some more expensive items for sure, but like the cheap, quick like options that they do have are it's what really truly makes it worth it. I think I know what you're talking about, and yeah, the dude, you don't give a fuck. So many people are built differently out there. I know they really are built different out there, man. That's why I'm like, I'd love to visit New York one day, but I'm like, I don't know. I feel like as a pedestrian, I'd be nervous a little bit. Dude, when I was in Chicago, I was nervous as fuck, being a pedestrian because people, at least driving around, they are like, I'm going to point A to B. I don't give a fuck what's in my way. And if they're like, there's pedestrians crossing, and if the crosswalk is on, they'll like, vroom, and then they'll like stop while you're like right there, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, do you see the crosswalk? Like, fucking wait, you bitch. Like I'm fucking walking over here. Oh, like I started like adapting to the like a New Yorkian / like Chicagoan fucking like I'm fucking walking here. Oh, you fucking mook. Oh, I started developing that shit after a minute. I was like, even one of my buddies was like, "Damn, you need to chill a little bit." I was like, "These motherfuckers!" Like, if I wasn't here, then I'd be goddamn fucking like ran over or some shit. It's like, what the fuck? These people just don't give a shit. And plus everybody was honking. Like there was obviously like some car language that was going on in Chicago that's just unique to Chicago because people are honking left and right out there, bro. At certain times. Now that's downtown Chicago. I will say there were some places out in Chicago, like if you go on the outskirts and part of broader Chicagoland area, like it's actually like all right. It's not like there's not like a lot of honking going on and all that other bullshit. It's actually, like any other typical broader suburb. Like it almost felt like kind of like Portland to me in some ways, So honestly, like, I mean, I mean, at least when it came to the traffic, downtown Chicago was fucking insane. But everywhere else in the broader Chicagoland area was actually pretty nice. Rip to who gives a fuck about that sad little shit? The most insecure bitch that has ever existed on the internet, and that is saying something. Like, god damn. Who gives a fuck? We're having a fun conversation over here. That's the fucking first thing I read. Ugh. See someone driving a cargo bike. Some dude was just operating a barbecue while staying up on a cargo platform during the last Google Mass. That's fucking awesome, dude. That sounds like some shit that would happen in Loud Lit, because there are some people that do that shit, here in Portland with stuff like that. Chicago pizza really that good? Dude, I want to say it's like, I don't know. Like, I will say this. I only had the deep dish style Chicago pizza. I know there's like 2 different styles of Chicago pizza. I had the deep dish. And I will say, dude, it's fucking awesome. It is dank as fuck. It is delicious. Like, and even though I'm not like the biggest like cheese guy, like, dude, all that cheesiness, like, you can tell it was made with some love, bro. Like, it was just straight up some nice, like, you could tell it was like a fucking wheel of cheese or something. They just shredded that down, and then put it on that bitch. You know what I mean? Like, they had like some prep shit going on. Or at least they got it from a place that does that. And then fucking, like, it was just, oh my God. I don't even know how to explain it. Literally, top 3 pizzas I've ever ate in my life. A basic, all meat Chicago deep dish pizza. Pepperoni, bacon, sausage, all just the fixins, dude. Oh my God. Me and the homies, like, literally ate that for, like, almost damn near the entire trip. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, there was like a slice left on the day that we're leaving, and I think reheated it and like ate half of it, and I gave the other half to my buddy because, like, here, I'm pretty good. Because, dude, it's so fucking filling too. It's just, I will say, man, it is it's worth to at least try. What the fuck was the place that we got it from too? I don't even really exactly remember the place. I just remember that it was just so fire. I'm gonna have to ask my buddy Logan, to be honest. He would know. I mean, we just went to so many different little brew pubs, food, and shit like that. Like, I mean, it's just kind of hard to exactly remember where. Aunt Luna style pizza is weird as shit. What the fuck is Aunt Luna? I think Atlanta. Altoona. I don't know. Wait, what the fuck is Altoona? Huh? Yeah, wait, hold up. Now that I actually like read that, I'm like, wait a minute. Now, I thought you were like doing like a fucking weird meme spelling of Atlanta, but Google it for the image. Do I want to? Do I really want to, though? I knew you were a mutant. My buddy Logan. Funny enough, my friend Logan literally was named after the Wolverine Logan. So, yeah. I kind of am. And you know what? That motherfucker is a little bit. But in a good way, though. Like, honestly, he kind of is. I mean, he's, I don't even know how to completely explain him, when it comes to, his personality. Because I'm the introvert usually, and he's the extrovert, and he is extrovert. And it's like, I don't know how we blend so fucking well despite that, but we do. That's why I don't know how to explain it, because it's like, normally as an introvert, extroverts usually I'm like, I'm usually a little like, whoa. But I don't know. Like, it's just hard to fucking explain it, dude. Like I said, like, because usually extroverts for me are a little too much, and I tend to get overwhelmed usually. But, um, I don't know. Like, not with him though. It's weird. It really is fucking kind of a little weird. I think maybe at this point, especially, it's just because we've been so close and know each other for so long and they're close friends. But even in the beginning, it's always something I've just thought about over the years I've known him. It's like, I usually am kind of a little overwhelmed by extroverts, but yet I'm never with him usually. I mean, I can be. I mean, I will say that much, but on the huge, you know, and on even most part, at this point, I'm just like, well, if anything, I would say every so often we might have our salty moments occasionally, have our little back and forths, but even then, it's just never nothing. I don't know. You know, it's just it's one of those things where I think it just shows that like you end up being close like a brother to somebody, where it's like even if you can't truly explain all the you know the normalities of what you would say, like, hey, I probably wouldn't vibe with like X, Y, or Z, but because of everything else and how they are and what they do and what they give and what return and all sorts of shit, right? Like it's like, man, all right, like it's one of those things where we can really realize like the value, despite maybe sometimes it being overwhelming, the value of what comes from that, you know what I mean? Because I will say, dude, like, holy shit, he's an overwhelming motherfucker sometimes. But like I said, it's not even in a bad way. It's just one of those things where I'm like, oh my god. But but that's what I love about him though, because like he kind of helps push people in that way, including for myself, being like because I like to try to be a social butterfly in a way, but I'm not always, and he does help with pushing that out sometimes when we're hanging out at the bar. Be like, yo, meet this guy, that blah 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 blah. You like him, and then we talk for a bit, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're cool as fuck, and then we end up talking about like music or whatever the fuck else, for a minute. So it's like at the end of the day, that it's overall as it can be sometimes. I like it though. Maybe that's at least probably why, because I at least it's one that's the most relatable in the sense with the extrovertedness that I think is a good balance for helping me be more ambivert than introvert. Because I really do think at this point I'm more of like an ambivert more than an introvert. Introvert leaning for sure, but definitely a lot more like ambiverted now. Because I definitely get through my flares where I'm kind of a social butterfly a little bit, but sometimes I'm not. Get my moods. I know how to serve pizza like that insane, but wait, Altoona style is definitely cursed and should be outlawed. Okay, y'all been going into about that. What? Okay, so what is this? Looks like a cheeseburger disguised as pizza. What? Well, someone went zoom. But what the fuck is? Okay, 10 times worse if they use Kraft cheese for the Altoona. I don't. Oh my god. Alright, I'm turning my fucking Wi-Fi hotspot on this bitch, and I'm gonna Google it on this motherfucker. Oh, god damn it, it's dead. Fuck. Well, I don't want to stop the stream to Google it, damn it. You know what? Hold on. Actually, I think I have an idea. Probably find it for here. Is there a way to just get on, like, regular old internet on this bitch? Because if so, I'll probably just do that. Let's see here. Oh, wait, I can just go on YouTube on here. I'll just look it up on YouTube. There we go. I'm gonna look at it through Logan's account. He's gonna wonder why the fuck I have this on his search history. Altoona. No, 2 O's. Come on. Oh, there we go. What the fuck is this? What is this shit, dude? Dude, this shit looks gross. What is this? What the fuck? Ugh. Brother, ugh. What's that? What's that, brother? Brother, ugh. Brother, ugh. Oh my god, that looks repulsive. Dude, that was just bad, dude. It's recklessly stressed, bro. Yeah, I can save it too, dude. Like, I'm doing it. I mean, there might be a little context for it, but I don't care. Dude, yeah, some Pennsylvanian bastard literally probably unironically made that, like trying to attempt to make some pizza and thought it was delicious and gave it to his friends. They thought it was, and they just ran with it. And gaslit the entire fucking world to think this is good. They thought that this was going to be fine. No. I guess they did it enough to where it's this, but no, that's just unacceptable. If inbreeding was the type of pizza. Yeah. Yeah. I'm German. Obviously, I can open beer if anything. Well, I would hope so. You Germans literally would open beer with anything that isn't a bottle opener. You guys avoid a bottle opener like it's the fucking demon, dude. You're like, nope. Fuck a bottle opener. We shall open things that are not bottle openers. Hey, in the US, we do got some shit like that too. We can do that with lighters, the side of a table or a hard edge, where you can just pop, and do that. There's a way you can use your jaw with your teeth. I don't do that because that's just fucking that. But there's a lot of ways that we do it out here too. But not like you Germans. You literally will find the most random shit. I bet you could find I bet you all could literally have a bread loaf, like literally find a loaf of bread and have a way to open up a beer bottle with that. It is windy as fuck out there. We're getting some northern cold fronts. If you do, let me know. Fight the order. You can open beer by staring at it. Yeah, just literally the virtue of just staring at a beer it gets it afraid, and it's like just pops it open. It's like, nein. The punishments I always have before being consumed will be far worse. I'll just open up for you. Yeah. That national bad boy up there. You are asleep again. Well, not really. Okay. You're just staring off into oblivion, though. You stretch your time. Nice dog. I'm off to feed my crow. Oh, you got a pet crow? Hell yeah. I used to kind of like feed some squirrels and like a crow and some stellar jays that lived around my property. They're still around, but I just haven't really fed them as much anymore because I'm gonna be moving away from that spot at this point. So I'm like, which that'll suck, but whatever. Hopefully, at least ends up being a better situation with all that. But, no, that's for my family. I mean, chances are at least it's going to be sold or likely renovated and rented out or something like that. In a way, preferably would have the latter. who knows? I could just rent it out to fans. Be like, yo, you bunk with a few people that I know I could trust, if you being there, and you just pay this rent, and there you go. That would be all right. Here. Go ahead and take a piss real quick, though. I'll be right back. It's no dude that would open up his teeth. Like, okay, cool. I'm so fucking teeth. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm always against doing that. And plus, it's just like, gonna hand out Altuna style pizza to the next brothers to go to just to make sure everyone's pissed off and locked in. Encourage them to throw it at ice. Oh, Inky. By the way, I remembered, dude, someone clipped me during the last No Kings protest. Actually, oh fuck. It took me forever to find it, so I don't want to try to like look up every fucking detail. But I could share it to you at least. Yeah, I'll be able to remember a little bit later and share it to you. But it's one of the things that I was doing, during the process. Like, I'm gonna put this down, and then just wander off for a little bit. I did that at one point, and someone else was streaming it. I know this much. It's a channel called Not Tino Kotex or some shit like that. It's a right-wing channel, I can tell. But it's something like that. Disco it if you find it later. Yeah, I'll be able to. It's on my watch history. Oh, speaking of, did you watch Deep Fat Fried earlier today by chance? Especially with Phoebe calling in. Because, bro, I need to fucking be like, yo, Phoebe, you and I need to have a chat. Her and I need to have a little talk. Because she straight up was like, what's the best pizza in the country? And I was just like, I figured, hey, like, she was asking that to TJ, and he was probably going to, like, think New Jersey, New York area. That's usually known for its pizzas, right? But there's a rivalry between Chicago and New York and that area, right? When it comes to pizzas. And honestly, I wouldn't have given a fuck if he was like, yeah, they probably got better pizza stuff. I don't have an opinion. But what made me grind my gears, and I was like, what the fuck? Hold on. Was the fact that she said, yo, Chicago be a little wild with their pizzas. They're fucking weird. And I was like, excusez-moi, François? I was like, what? I was like, oh, hell no. I'm not allowing this. I was literally like, this is blasphemy. That is unacceptable. That is a hot take where I now think that's just outright objectively untrue. Objectively just factually incorrect. Now, arguably, maybe New York style is probably better. I haven't had it though, outside of a mimicry version, probably out here in Portland or whatever. But beyond that, it's like an authentic style. Chicago pizza goes. It does though. That's why I was like, "What the fuck are you saying, Phoebe?" girl, like you smoking something that I don't want if that's what you're fucking come to a conclusion to. Like, has she not had a real authentic Chicago pizza? Has she been to Chicago? Like, I'm gonna have to be like, hey, yo, as someone who has tried authentic style deep dish, I will defend this and die on this hill. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I'm sorry. I don't care what she's gonna have to say about this. I will defend my position. You know, there ain't no way. I was trying to actually find a time to bring it up on her stream, but she was when I tuned in, she was literally about to wrap it up, and I was like, God damn it, this always happens. I was like, motherfucker. I was really like every goddamn time. I think she likes Indian food the most from what I've seen. That's fine. I love Indian food too. Shrimp, like, you know, fucking vindaloo curry, like all that shit, dude. It's fucking amazing, bro. I love Indian food, but I mean, but still, that take must be addressed. It must be accounted for. And also, she got cut off. Like, I was even in the chat gonna be like, hold the fuck up. But then, you know, when TJ got Paul back, she was just like, yeet. Didn't even bother to bring it back even for like another little bit more longer or anything. I was like, you motherfuckers. It's like, I mean, I was like, God damn it. All right, well, I'll have to find a time to address this to her later. Because, like I said, bro, it's bonk. That take was insane. I've seen so many people in like the DFF chat whenever she's on as a guest, like rant and rave and get pissed at like her takes and saying she's stupid and this and that. You being like, yo, damn. Like, even as a leftist, I think she's got dumb shit like that. I'm like, God damn, you fucking people are just ridiculous. Like, Jesus Christ. I mean, and then I'm over here being like, I don't even disagree. I think it's just, I don't know. I don't even know why she gets like such a strange, like aggressive behavior towards her like that. I don't, like I guess, you know, she's even said it, like, I think on that DFF stream where she's like, you know, I just have this urge to fight everything. I think maybe it's just on that virtue. She's always there to rabble rouse and, you know, try to scuff it up a little bit, at least in the marketplace of ideas. You know, so. But hey, maybe the chat just can't take these, you know, big brain ideas. Big brain ideas that are just in the marketplace of ideas. Throw a little Reuben in there. Haven't had a good Indian food in a minute. Yeah, me neither. It had some pretty dank Chinese at the Ambassador the other day. Even though it was really just chicken dumplings. But it was in like this little soup broth and all that. And then one of my homies gave the last little bit of his teriyaki chicken. And then another homie was like, hey, you want to finish this kung pao that I got? And I was like, cool. So I just had like a little meal, you know, just like eventually established. And I was just like, dude, it was so fucking good. And then honestly, I've been kind of thinking lately, like, I just want a good burger right now. You know what I mean? And at the bar I was at, I was kind of like, I was debating on either getting something just small and simple because there's food here. So I was like, either thinking like some chips and salsa at the Bar of the Gods because that's where we're at, or a smash burger that was like $10. And I was like, well, it would have been more like $10.25 or $10.50 or something like that because there's like a cash price / a card price. So there's like a little card fee or whatever. But I was like, Eventually I settled for the cheaper option. And I was just like, just honestly, just because it's like, man, you know, I've had their chips and salsa before. It's pretty good. So I'll just go with that. I'll just go with what I know. I'll admit though, they didn't cook the chips that long. like a good third of the chips were not really that thoroughly cooked. They were still a little soft in some parts, and I was kind of a little like, oh, I remember they'd be a lot more crispier and amazing. Now, most of them were. I mean, it wasn't like all for naught, but I was a little like, oh, they didn't really put as much love as they usually do. I was a little sad face on that one. That then, honestly, a part of me at that point when I was eating them, I was like, man, I probably should have gone for that fucking burger. Because I was thinking it. But I was like, fuck it, whatever. I do love where that little area is because, like, I've been to a lot of shows over there and everything with that little part of Hawthorne. And I didn't realize, like, how extensive, like, Triumph is over there when it comes to, like, being able to get to, like, different places. I was like, oh, this is a lot more of an interconnected spot than I thought. I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, sweet. I should come down this place more often because it's actually pretty easy to get out of here. I'm like, what the fuck? What am I doing? That's why Southeast in Portland is just like one of the better places in Portland, I will admit. Southeast is where it's at, like, honestly. Like, out of all the places in Portland that is probably the best, legitimately, it would be like the general Southeast area. Mount Tabor, especially being like one of the best, like little mini hike parks and shit like that, like a little mountain in the middle of everything too. It's dope. Smart bullhead that triggers weaklings and Joe's Cucks. No, Phoebes, yeah. Dude, she really gets people's gears grinding so hard. It makes me wonder, it's like, man, do I need like a trans flag in the background or something to have that happen? Because every once in a blue moon, I actually had it earlier tonight. So I'll be like, is this man or woman? I'm like, I need more people like you coming in here in a weird way. I want to mess around and fuck with those dudes. A few of them are coming in here trying to be like, rest in peace, Kolovicki, blah, blah, blah. Did he actually, like, die? Did he, like, OD to the point he croaked? Like, did it actually happen? Because, I mean, some people were mentioning that. I know he OD'd, but did he actually, like, just die from it? Because if so, I mean, he literally had 15 minutes in the sun. He literally had his 15 minutes of fame. Like, I only known for him for like a month, unfortunately. Mostly because, like, of an interview with Andrew Callahan with Channel 5 News, and then he ran off like a little bitch. And then there was an instance before that, because I think he was trying to be like an Andrew Tate, like, fucking coat writer or whatever, or some shit. I forgot exactly what. And then there's this. So it's like, he's just kind of a miserable, insecure, sad little sack of shit. But, and just streaming his downfall, which has pretty much been since the beginning. He never rose. He just fell since the start. Why'd you come up with your name? It's because I'm a furry. The Huskies, because that's, you know, the critter I decided to use for the furry part of it. And Ignar would be the name of it, of the said persona at this point. Like, at this rate, if I, like, use any, you know, like, pseudonym or name online, it's just going to be Ignar Husky, you know, at this point. So at this rate, you know, it's just basically just a broader internet name now, but that's the origins of it. Hi. Hello. Hello. Are you joking or being serious? What got you into being a furry? No, I'm actually serious. Yeah, I am a furry. And honestly, you know, it is like, I feel like I've always had like a little bit of inclination towards it, but I never really got into it until I started drawing, you know, like different semi-anthropomorphized, like, animals, mainly wolves and dogs and stuff. And a family friend of mine at the time, because I was showing her some of my artwork, was like, "Oh, this look like furries." And I just simply asked what that was, and she's like, "Oh, they're kind of like this, but they're like anthropomorphic, more humanoid-looking versions of this. But there's furries that look like this and stuff, and blah blah blah." And just basically, kind of give me a general rundown, and I was like, "Oh, okay." I didn't really think much of it, and I just looked it up later that night, and that was it. Basically, I just was like, "Oh, there's like a whole community. There's a whole thing around this. This is a whole like, this is something that is actually interesting people." And I pretty much was like immediately like, "Oh, like I love this. This is cool as fuck." I just started getting into it from there. That was back in like 2011. Even though I'm a young buck at this point in the broader like furry community, I'm considered a quote unquote gray fur because I've been in the fandom for like longer than 10 plus years at this point. So it's like, yeah, I've been around for a while for a lot of stuff like the conventions. And yeah, well, the conventions are pretty chill. I mean, look, I'll be honest. There's a lot of NSFW things that can happen, usually in hotel rooms and shit like that. And maybe sometimes on the dance floor when it's like 1 in the morning and the dancing is still going on until like 2 or some shit. I've been to furry conventions too because there's one here where I live, and I've seen some stuff myself, but nothing really like bad. Just pretty typical, like people being like, doing public display affection stuff, PBA, Is wearing costumes, is there more to it or what? A little compañero los dos. There's a lot of furries. The majority of them, like me, don't own fursuits or anything. They might have like, you know, like maybe like a onesie. They might have like a tail. They might have, like a mask. They might have something, But that's usually about as far as it goes for a majority of them. But there's a lot of them that do it for the fursuit and stuff like that. But a lot of it, I would say, is mostly just because of the interest of the art and the broader community and the solidarity that comes around with it. Because it's a very broadly a pro queer / like pro progressive community for the most part. Like there's obviously a lot of furries that aren't and pretty conservative, and including, and I'm not even joking, there are Nazi furries, and they're pretty much excommunicated in the sense that they aren't furries, at least to most furries, because they're fucking Nazis. So I mean, just because they wear fursuits and shit doesn't really make them a part of us, So yeah, no, yeah, it's wild. And unironically, Hitler and the SS would probably put them in first in line in the chambers, than to the fucking Jews. You know what I mean? Because how like degenerate it would be to them. It's like, what the fuck? You really think you're gonna be like a part of the Aryan race when you're dressing up at fursuits, acting like a bunch of gay freaks? Like, fuck off! Like, give me a break. Wear fursuits and be gay and all that shit all you want, but your hypocrisy of being a Nazi just kind of nullifies that a little bit. It kind of gets the free pass of making fun of you and fuck on you for it. Does that even mix? Fuck me if I know, man. It does, though. It's like, dude, there's black Nazis that exist, okay? Like, I mean, I don't know, bro. I don't know, man. There's just shit out there that just don't make sense, but yet apparently blends. So I don't fucking know, dude. I try not to really make sense of too many things. I just try to realize the absurdity of it and just fuck on it. At a certain point, you just gotta do that, Because, like, what the fuck? I didn't know most furries are gay. I want to say, like, gay, but at least a part of the queer community in one way, shape, or form. But there's plenty of straight furries that exist. There's even women furries that are out there and shit. I mean, I follow a lot of them. And frankly, a lot of them do NSFW content. I'm just going to be blunt with that. But Hey, I follow a lot of them too. Like they exist as well. Like, and if anything, especially these days, I mean, furries have been kind of normalized enough to where even like sex shops like Bad Dragon and stuff like that are kind of also normie aligned. So you could literally find just any random like amateur slash like professional porn star, or even using like a Bad Dragon dildo or something like that, where it's animalistic, or having someone wearing that with like a little mask or whatever. There are certain elements where stuff like that is becoming more like normalized in the sense of like it's not just furries are into this. You know what I mean? Which arguably, I think it just shows that humanity has always had this interest in anthropomorphizing, you know, animalistic features, to ourselves because we can kind of see ourselves in animals in certain ways, when it comes to certain traits and shit like that. I mean, I mean, like, and not just in that, but also like when it comes to maybe spiritualism and animism and things like that. Like, there's all sorts of factors that play a role. Where, I mean, what we call furries now is really just what like humanity's always been kind of interested and curious about for all these years. Like one of the oldest artifacts that is of anthropomorphized wood carving of a lion that was found in Germany was from at least like 15 something thousand years ago, or I think even older than that. So obviously like we have a strong interest of anthropomorphizing, whether ourselves or the world around us, or representing these spirits and shit. So it's a lot of these things where like, there has to obviously be a reason why there's a lot of people that are kind of into it. Even if they're not like furries themselves, they obviously have some sort of an overlap a little bit, every so often. Do you believe in God, or do you think we were formed from animals? Well, I mean, do you mean like formed from animals in the sense of like, we evolved, from common life and common ancestors from, animals? Because in that case, then sure, yeah. Like, but yeah, because I don't believe in any God or spirits or anything. I mean, I'm a spiritual person in the sense that I think, subconsciously and energy wise slash like environmentally we do have like an attachment slash connection that maybe we aren't necessarily aware of, or maybe we are and we can tap into, in a sense, or maybe we kind of maybe have a natural tapping into, arguably, maybe sometimes, like, for like animal magnetism, and shit like that. Because I'm kind of an animal magnetist. I've always been, yeah, like, I don't know what it is, but even when I'm like on hikes and stuff like that, yeah, like I would find animals or bugs or random life, and I'd just be like, "Yo, guys, check this out," and just and just observe it and watch it and take pictures, and maybe if I can, sometimes maybe try to pick it up and show people, and be like, "Hey, look at this," like some Steve Irwin shit, almost. It's like there's like a natural magnetism that I think some people have when it comes to animals, where it's like I think animals recognize that subconsciously. Like this is where I think the spiritualism part comes in play, where other animals recognize that about you and realize that you're not a threat. Like, yeah, you're a big, freaky, scary being. You're huge in comparison to a smaller animal that you might be doing that with, or even to a bug or a spider or anything like that, right? But like, if you bring that trust to it and say, "Hey, it's okay. You can be right here, or I can, do this, and you can be all right, and you'll be fine." Then it's like one of those things where it will recognize that. It might notice that and be like, "Oh, it's actually all right. I actually kind of really like this, maybe a little bit, potentially." It's like it's one of those things where I think some people do have maybe a more heightened sense, because I think I do personally. So it's like it's one of those things where I think we do have a subconscious slash like ability to have an attachment, and I think some people are a little bit more, I don't know, I mean, tapped into that, I guess, in comparison to others, because I know there's plenty of people that just aren't really tapped into that, and I've talked to people like that, and I'm like, man, If only that you really felt more, appreciative of like the planet that we're on or the, environment around us and ecology that helps supports it. You don't have to like go fucking radical and deep with it, but it's like at least acknowledge it a little, be recognizing like, yeah, if it wasn't for all this, we wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? It's like there are just some people that just don't even acknowledge that shit. I'm like, fuck, like are you just like a literal like fucking up the matters fuck it, kind of like that type of nihilist? It's like Jesus Christ, like oh my god, ugh. You sound like you might be miserable as fuck internally, like, ugh. It's bad voodoo. Because look, I also consider myself a nihilist, even though it sounds weirdly contrary to what I'm talking about. But just on the virtues, like, hey, like we're all here, we're all in Spall Rock, and we all have evolved from stardust in one way, shape, or form. If you really want to break it down that far back, right? Like, ultimately, we are just a byproduct of the universe being what it is, and it's a beautiful thing to be where we're at, but there's no true real meaning why we're here. But you know what? We can make something of that and recognize the beauty of the fact that we're here, though. I mean, that type of philosophy of nihilism is more of like the fuck yeah, nothing matters, but look at the beauty of it all. Hell yeah. That's what I believe in. Because, like, we can form a meaning. Nihilism doesn't inherently have to mean like nothing matters, thus fuck it. It means like we can put something, in place of that lack of meaning. And in fact, it should be encouraged. Do as thou wilt, shall be to hold the law, so to speak, like some Aleister Crowley shit, because he was in some part of nihilism in himself, and with his weird broader philosophy that he had, being the quirky fuck that he was, so it's like, I mean, like that's the idea and philosophy that I like to believe, because, in a weird way, that kind of maximizes the appreciation of where we're at least in my mind, at least how I perceive it. I mean, and I still personally believe that it could be a nihilistic philosophy, but at the same time, is a philosophy of opportunity and appreciation as well. It doesn't have to be pessimistic or doomer or defeatist. In fact, I honestly kind of hate the fact that nihilism gets tied into those broader ideas of being like, oh, nothing matters, fuck it, just being like a pessimist, because being a pessimist and being a nihilist are different things. They can overlap, sure, but like I just don't think they are the same. And a lot of people like to think they kind of are pretty much one and the same, and they're not. Nihilism is a more of a broader philosophy than people like to think it is. When I was on shrooms, I was talking to a high power during my trip. What's kind of funny, for me, I've never really have had that, with psychedelics at all, at any point. But I've always been able to tap into the idea of being perceived as the higher power, like a preacher, having the word of God speak through his words and through his tongue. I've actually did a stream once where I was like basically acting like a Kenneth Copeland style preacher, because I remember actually distinctly being like, oh, it's not that hard to, be a preacher. And then shortly after I started getting into it, the shrooms kicked. And I just, for an hour, went on like some fucking random shit. I don't really remember the details of it, but it was like an hour of me being like, in the holy name of the Lord, and blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure some tongues were involved too. Like me going, amen in the name of the Lord, because this is what the demons are trying to push through. And blah, 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 blah. I was like, I know I was popping. I just don't remember every little deep, but I've done it before, honestly. In a sense that I've tapped into being the higher power, and being the one that can be, the idea of the word of it, but never like speaking to one, though. I will admit, though, I would like to be humbled and have such an ego depth to where I could have that opportunity, psychedelically. I will say that, because I never have. The one time I did acid, the many times I've done shrooms, I've never have had that experience. And I want to. I've been actually legit been kind of yearning for it. That's why I've also thought about like, hey, maybe I'll try DMT or ayahuasca. But if I do, I want to do it like in the shamanistic, like ritual way, What's your trip like? With which one? The one time I did acid, which is a long story actually, but a great one. Or the times I did mushrooms, because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of different times I've done those. So, acid. Oh shit. All right. Fuck. Okay. Honestly, you might want to sit down for this one because this is. You know what? I'm taking a shot to this. Fuck it. Because this is gonna be a long one, bro. I mean, I'll try to summarize it as best as I can, but I'm not gonna lie. You might want to sit down for a minute because this is gonna be a good one. I'm here for it, lol. Oh hey, hell yeah. Actually, you know what? There's barely any left. Fuck it. I'm just gonna put all of it in there. Wiggle, 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 wiggle those last drops right out of the bitch. There we go. All right. Take a shot with you. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, might as well. Salud. Yeah, fuck it. Do a little trifecta real quick. Dude will do a little quick. Dude will do probably hopefully the best summarized version of the story. But like I said, it's even with that in itself, it's still a long one. So it was basically be equivalent by Friday for work at the time. So I just got off work. My homeboy, Logan, hit me up being like, hey, yo, bro, I got the hookup with one of my boys, you know, with some ass, man. And I was like, oh, shit, huh? I was like, all right, do tell, huh? So I asked about it, and then he was like, yo, do you have like, you know, a fucking, like, you want to do some? I know you've been talking about it and blah, blah, blah. And I was sitting here like, I got a day off. I got a weekend going on. And foreshadowing, I had a concert I was going to go to the next day. So I'm thinking in my mind, like, do I or do I not? And I was like, you know what? Let me settle down real quick. Let me smoke a bowl or something. I'll meet you over. Because because it was at a bar that was like pretty much like a 10, maybe 15-minute walk, you know, for me. So I was like, fuck it. I'm going to do that. I'm just going to like, you know, let me figure it out. Let me think about it. And I went down there and it was like, hey, yo, dude. So he showed me what it was. And I was like, I looked down and I thought about it for a second. I was like, you know what? Y'all really gonna do it? And they just like grabbed their shit and just like blah, 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 and just took it. And then I was like, you know what? I don't want to babysit. We're on the journey. And I took it. And the thing is, there was only about like, I'd say like 2.5-ish tabs. So the tabs that we had weren't like full tabs. We basically like split them into thirds on what we had as best as we could without like it seeping into other shit or whatever on the stuff that we had. And then we just kind of like, you know, kind of like licked up that little chunk, you know. And then there was like a little bit left over, you know, because we weren't sure how strong it was. So we were able to split that as well later, you know, about I'd say an hour in because we were starting to feel it, but then it was just kind of like, well, let's finish this off because this is going to be a long ride. So we're just like, fuck it, we're just going to kill this. And so we were at the bar playing pool after we did that. We're, you know, hanging out there for about 30 minutes and shit. I had some food too on top of that because I figured, you know, probably not a bad idea. So we split some onion rings. And then we played about, I'd say, maybe 2-3 games, maybe. And then all of a sudden, we just started getting giggly. I started giggling a little bit, and then I saw my friend Logan, and I looked at him. It's like, he said to me, it's like, hey, you feeling it a little bit? I'm like, you getting giggly too? He's like, yeah. And I was like, you should probably cash out. Get the fuck out. He's like, yeah. And this is after our game. So we pack our shit. We get out. And we're outside. And we just start fucking like trying to repress it as we go over to this corner, being like, and then we just start laughing for a minute, and then we calm down and for a sec, and then Logan, I don't even remember what he was fucking talking to me about. I really don't, because I just started staring at this tree that to this day I nicknamed the kaleidoscope tree. Because I was staring at it, and it was like the browns of the branches, the greens, the whites, and of the light of the street light or the parking light, in the background, just if the wind just like blowing the branches and stuff, like it literally looked like a kaleidoscope, and I just stared at it for like fuck knows how long. And at one point, I just literally did this. Logan, bro, this tree. And we did that, and after like 3 seconds of just staring, we just busted out laughing for like 10 minutes. At one point, my shoe fell off. I looked over and I saw it, and I was like, and just started laughing, just seeing my shoe just gone. And then I was like, and we had to collect ourselves because I'm just rolling around the grass, just like busting my gut. He's laughing, looking at me and the tree and everything. He's just dead. And then our buddy who also comes up, who took it with us, shows up. And then he's like, yo, what do y'all fucking laughing at? And we're just like cackling, and we're like collecting ourselves. We're like, don't worry about it, bro. We're just like getting this because he's being giggly too. And we didn't want to just look like a bunch of fucking maniacs, basically. So we eventually ride back to my pad at the time, and we're like, and I'm at this point where I'm like, I'm kind of peeking a little bit, but I'm also having to try to keep it together. But I'm not really like visually seeing it yet, but my senses are heightened to shit. And I'm like, and my brain is like, whoa. Like, it feels like I got high for the first time on weed again, kind of thing. Like, because it was, like I said, it wasn't really a full dose at this point. It was kind of like a little over a half dose, kind of, maybe. Now, so I'm sitting here like, whoa. I'm like, I feel like I'm high for the first time again, being all giggly, like, kind of shit. Like, stoner bro shit almost. So I'm like, fuck. I have to, like, remember how to, like, keep my cool. And honestly, weirdly enough, I did, because at one point when we got back to bed, my mom called me over at the time, and I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, all right, talking to her for a sec. And she's like, what are your friends doing here? And blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, oh, we're just stopping by real quick. I need to grab my bike because we're going to go ride around a little bit and just have a beer at, like, the creek and stuff and blah, blah, blah. I may or may not be back here tonight, I will admit, just, because, reasons. She didn't have to know. She was like, all right, that's fine. Just, keep me updated and posted. I never did. But I was like, all right, cool. And I came back out being like, oh my God, she didn't question nothing. I was like, yes, all right, good. So at that point, I was like, all right. Then we just dipped and mobbed out. And well, actually, before we did that, I talked to like, not really like Neff or brother or whoever, but like kind of ish a little bit. Yeah, I was talking to him a little bit, and I just straight up admitted to him, be like, yeah, I'm on acid right now. But, I'm just about it. And he was just kind of giggling like, yo, shit, hey, I'll keep my lips sealed. But, damn, how you feeling right now? And I'm just like, this is awesome. This is pretty dope. So, we mob out, and then we go to the creek for a little bit, and we just, at this point of the trip, we just kind of go into deep talk. I honestly will admit, like, I don't remember every little detail. I know some of it was about nostalgia, some of it was like philosophy and some politics shit. Like, I just don't remember every little bit. I will admit. So, I just remember at one point though, just kind of watching and just like kind of looking at the creek and stuff, and just like observing, and then seeing like this weird little like shutter flicker kind of thing that was going on. I was like, that was that. And then I like looked, and I just realized it was like a little bit of the tree, but also there's like this fucking light that was in the corner that was kind of flickering a little bit. And I was like, oh, that's weird. But I was just like weirdly just focused on that for whatever fucking reason. And then eventually my buddy got texted me like, oh, I have a buddy that just won like $500 from the lottery or something. He wants to like take us out, on the night in the morning and have an all nighter. Like, you want to like, fucking, link up with them or something. We could, drop your shit off and then we can, have him pick you up and blah blah. And I was like, cool, let's do it. So we went back to my spot, dropped our shit off quietly, and then we went off somewhere else. And then he picked us up. I forgot where exactly. And then we just were driving around everywhere, just hanging out, and just like, went to this one park, and then we went to this like alcohol, like coffee breakfast place that was like on the side of a garage. I forgot exactly where. I think it might have been like either Broadway or Burnside, one of the two. That particular detail escapes me a little bit, but I just remember the pancakes because the dude was straight up like, "Yo, whatever y'all want on the house, I don't give a fuck. We're all here for the party." And like we all had that shit, and which was fucking amazing. And then we, actually, before we saw that, we went to the sunrise at this park, and I forgot exactly what it's called. It might have been Rocky Butte, maybe. Forgot exactly where it was, but it's like this little butte, and you climb up to the very top, and it's on the south side where you can actually see the airport in the distance, and you can see the planes, kind of coming in for landing, and they're kind of like below you at a certain point. It was a really cool little spot. And while we're hiking up there was like straight up like this BDSM-esque like photo shoot going on at like 5 in the fucking morning before the sunrise with this dusk going on, and we were all like, what the fuck is happening over here? Like, what? We were all like, yo, what is going on, dude? And half of us were all kind of checking that out and being like, yo. And then eventually they left, so we all, were hanging out. And then one of our buddies grabbed a jacket because there's like this little cell tower or like this little internet tower thing, and there's like this little square of fence with barbed wire on it, and he got his jacket to throw over the barbed wire, and then he had his borrowed my buddy's jacket to wear so he can get over that, and then climbed up like halfway on the fucking tower. And I still have the pictures. I know somewhere I still have those fucking pictures of him just on the tower, just like up in the air, just waving around and shit, and just hanging out. And I was half tempted to do it too, but I was just like, nah, fuck it. I never did, but kind of wish I did. But I will admit. But I will say, like, I got some pretty cool photos of that at least, and some of the sunrise and shit. I know I have that fucking somewhere for sure. Actually, I'm pretty sure I have it like on an SD card. I will say I have like so many random old phones that I will admit that it probably is in on one of those, and I just need to fucking. Oh, it's on one of. It's actually on my Google fucking shit because I remember on my like Google Photos it was like on there as well. Oh, I think I actually definitely for sure have it. So archived. Yeah, that's for sure. So, I think about it now. All right. Starting to realize I'm like 99% sure it's saved and archived, and fuck yeah. I gotta like show off those pictures at some point, like, because one of these days, when instead of like doing streams like this, even if I dual stream with like or like on a desktop doing like this and horizontal, I got it would be way more fun to show off pictures and shit like that, with stuff like this. So we'll admit it helps with the context. But anyway, going back to the story though to finish it up, because at this point we're almost done with it. But after we had the breakfast at that one spot that I was talking about from earlier, he was like, "All right, well, I'm starting to get tired. I'm up for all nighter and blah 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 and all sort of shit." So, he eventually got us all back to our pads, and I just literally couldn't sleep because by the time I got back to my place, which was like 10 in the fucking morning, I was like, hey, I need to be dropped off at my, brother's spot because of the concert that I had to go to that following fucking evening, which was Smashing Pumpkins. So I had this acid trip all nighter during the whole fucking time, and I had to go see Smash Pumpkins with my brother because he had a free ticket, for me to go check out. And now I'm at his spot, like at the last little wave of the trip, which at least that's what I thought. And I just was kind of like, what do I do? Kind of thing, And I actually do have a stream of me being there for like maybe 6 or 8 minutes, something like that. Way far back on my streams, of me being there with these glasses I'm wearing to try to hide my fucking acid tripped out eyeballs and shit. I know I have at least that too somewhere. And then eventually at a certain point, my brother shows up, I'm just kind of like, I just let him know that I'm sleep deprived because I had an all-nighter. I didn't tell him about the acid part of it, but I just told him I had an all-nighter with some friends. And he's like, yeah, it's fine. You have a coffee or something? And it's like, yeah, I already had that. I'm just riding that right now. It's like, all right, I'll let you have a beer and stuff like that, at the show and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, cool. And then the show, once we went to the show, I'm not even going to lie, dude. I had one more wave of that acid trip at that show. The fucking like visuals, they had like these little like pseudo like weird like 3D like cubes and fucking like geometry like shapes and shit like that going on, and like with the fucking projectors, with their screens in the background of like different like shit with their songs and stuff. Dude, it literally revived my trip a little bit. And I was like mesmerized, like, what the fuck, man? I was like, holy shit, dude. And by the end of the show, I was like, hey, yo, bro, that was fucking amazing, all that. And I was like, but I am very sleep deprived. Fuck, do you mind drop me off back at my place? And he was like, yeah, that's cool. And I was like, I love you, bro. I kind of was like in a weird, like, I love you, dude. That was awesome, blah, blah, blah. Kind of like, I just need to just sleep and wake up, because by that point, I pretty much like slept most of the next day for sure, and just was like maybe for the evening and like the early morning kind of chilled, and then try to power nap most of it. But the next day when I went back to work after that little weekend, one of my coworkers was like, hey, what's up, how was your weekend? And I was like, oh, I got a story for you. And when I told her about that, she was like, because she's done, because at the time, my coworker, I haven't heard from her in a long time, but older lady, but she's really fucking awesome, and was someone's done psychedelics, mushrooms, stuff like that before in the past, and like acid too as well. And she's like, oh, you had acid once, huh? How's the trip? And I told her about the general TLDR version. I had a shortened version than the one I was telling now. But the one I told her, she was like, hey, sounds like you had an excellent trip. And that was an awesome, thing for you. That's great. Like, do you want to maybe try some again? And she, not like she was offering, but just like, that's a general question of like, is that something that, because of, the experience, would you want to again? And I was like, well, yeah. I was like, dude, that's awesome. If that's what it is, even though I know that there could be some scary trips and shit like that, like, hey, I'm okay with the gamble. I'm fine with it. Honestly, I've never really had a bad trip ever, to be honest. I've always had like maybe neutral trips where, it's not like good or bad, just, a trip. And then but beyond those, there have been, pretty good ones. I never really have had a bad one. Weirdly enough, like the only like quote bad trip I've ever had was really with weed. One time when I was just high as fuck, and I was listening to a Neil deGrasse Tyson clip about him talking about death and like what happens after death and shit, and just is weird like enthusiastic bluntness about like talking about it was like sent me through a weird like existential moment for like an hour, and I was like, what the fuck? I don't even know why though, because I mean, I've I've listened to the video before, since, and other shit, and like Neil deGrasse Tyson, I have a couple of his books, so it's like I really don't really generally know why. Maybe it's just like the existential reflection of like, yep, time's limited, motherfucker, kind of thing. I guess I don't know. I really don't know, honestly, why that happened. I just remember being like, oh fuck, and then just like go, you know, just out of nowhere. Just for whatever reason, it just like sent my anxiety levels to like, you know, all the way up there for whatever fucking reason. But let me draw here, and you didn't even take your 8-ball in that front place. Let me know if you want to drop it off. What the fuck are you talking about, huh? Who are you? Huh? Okay. God damn it. Clog ass little bitch. There we go. Oh, much better. Talking new Star Wars show is so good, MC. They've been on a roll since Andor. Oh, wait. Darth Maul and the Shadow Legends or whatever it's called. Have you actually started watching that? Dude, isn't it fucking epic, dude? Dude, you're watching it right now? Oh, fuck yeah, Rip. Dude, that is epic. Yeah, dude, that Maul shit is so... bro. Like, that is probably my most favorite show so far from Star Wars, you know, outside of Andor and the Bad Batch. Like, between those three, I would say Darth Maul is up there, Andor's on second, and Bad Batch is third. Oh, you found you sailed the 7 seas, huh? Nice. Me and Logan are able to watch it because he has that Disney Plus subscription and shit like that. That's cheap as fuck. So, but hell yeah, dude. I'm gonna have one more burr. Fuck it. Need to see more, but right now I'm on second after Andor. Oh yeah, dude. Honestly, you might like the Bad Batch as well. I think the Clone Wars, like the animated show, I think the last season or like the last 2 seasons has the Bad Batch in it as well. But you don't really need to see those in order to watch the Bad Batch. Well, we'll say it's actually not bad for like lore wise, but that's just more up to you if you care about that kind of thing. What the fuck? What? Why is every beer I'm cracking exploding on me? This thing just yeeted so much foam everywhere. Like, what the fuck? At least it didn't, like, nut on me, but it was a squirter. Seen the Bad Batch, but it's as good as Andor. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna say as good as Andor. I will say the live action version of with Ahsoka, that's pretty good. With Ahsoka versus Maul. That's not the last season. There's actually been at least, I think, 1 or 2 different instances where Ahsoka's faced Maul. I know Anakin at least a couple times throughout the Clone Wars, and Obi-Wan too is, and also Maul and his brother as faced Sidious, Palpatine at one point, where his Maul's brother dies, you know, because Maul tries to make his brother an apprentice. Which, actually, speaking of, out of all the Sith Lords that you are familiar with and know of, which one would you want to be the apprentice of? Because I'm not going to lie, between Lord Tyrannus or Count Dooku and Darth Maul, it would have to be one of those two. But I will say that Darth Maul or fucking Count Dooku or Darth Tyrannus, fucking has literally fried one of his apprentices before because Palpatine was like, yeah, kill him. So I'm like, eh. And then there's Ventress, and, so I'm like, eh. Even though he would be generally probably good when it comes to the training and shit like that, you know what I mean? But I'm like, like, he's not gonna be on your side forever. Yeah, I saw that one. They were way out of the league. Well, if you watch the battle, like, Lord Sidious literally is toying with them. He's laughing like halfway through the battle and shit, being like, like dude, he's literally, it's like the fucking, the fucking, whatchamacallit, the, Shaggy meme. Shaggy's only using 1% of his power. You know what I mean? Like, it's like that, pretty much. He's not really going all out. He's just toying with them. Eventually, he had to make an example and killed Maul's brother just to really feel his rage more and, really, if anything, make an example for him. Well, yeah, Count Dooku never did. Well, if you think about Count Dooku, especially if you've seen Tales of the Jedi, that little mini-series that they had, if you look about how Dooku kind of became, on the side of Sith, it was on the fact that he saw the Republic being corrupt as fuck, and also the Jedi Order and the Jedi Council being kind of in bed and corrupt with them, and he saw that as unacceptable and was, something that had to be addressed in some way, and he saw like maybe joining Lord Sidious and all that as a means of an end to potentially fix that. I mean, he was misled if you think about it. That's why, if you, like, out of all the Darths that exist and, when it comes to the Sith, he's the one that doesn't have Sith eyes, if you think about it. Even Anakin, once he turned to the Sith, had, those fucking Sith eyes, those yellow eyes and shit. Like, Count Dooku never did, ever. Because he never, like, even though he was tied to the Sith and the dark side to an extent, he never let it corrupt him. He just saw it as a means and was more realistically a great Jedi, in best of scenarios and shit. Like, I mean, Dooku kind of saw the writing on the wall, but just took the wrong side. He just took the wrong path. And if Qui-Gon was still alive, he would basically be the opposite of what Dooku was. He would try to change it, and make what's right, but just not via the Sith. He would do it from the inside out, or at least from the outsider's perspective as a Grey. Or a Grey Jedi kind of guy. Which also kind of makes it interesting. Like, in the alternate, like, Star Wars, world, like, if Dooku didn't turn so much to the Sith, would he be kind of like a Qui-Gon type and maybe, like, from the inside out or, like, the outside in, try to fix it? Because I kind of think he probably would. He betrayed everyone from for Sidious only to not see his own betrayal. I don't know. He wasn't a complete aristocrat asshole. I don't know. Like, not completely. Like, he's an interesting character, but not likable at all. For Dooku, I don't know. I mean, you don't necessarily have to like his means and tactics and everything. And I don't even really agree that he's an aristocrat to an extent, man. Because he was pretty distasteful to them. He didn't like them. He hated the aristocratic corruption and bureaucracy of the Republic and was even about to execute like a governor or like a senator at one point, because of his corruption and shit that he was doing to his planet. It was one of the worst people in the galaxy. Well, by the time he was, the Clone Wars started, yeah, he was pretty much a pirate and fell to the corruption that he was trying to fight. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I ain't dogging on that. I'm trying to talk about Dooku before that happened, you know? Yeah, he used the wealth to fund the war. I mean, also, like, even the Bad Batch, got into where they were trying to find some of his war treasures, that were, like, appropriated from different planets and other people, and shit after the war ended and the Empire was established. Basically trying to grab it and hide it and take it for themselves before the Empire did. Well, I'm more familiar with. Well, for sure. But like I said, the Tales of the Jedi, that miniseries, goes into like Yaddle, Dooku, even before he became a Sith, and shit. Like, and also maybe a little bit about Qui Gon as well. Like, it kind of gets into some of the how they got to where they are, kind of thing. Even his fighting style was like, "I'm above you, bitch." No, it's a very specific style. It's saber style. It's a form too. It's like an actual saber fight, and it's also a form of an offensive fight form where he could also use that to an advantage because this is even seen in different fights with Obi-Wan and Anakin where he knows that Anakin is a lot more of an offensive fighter and Obi-Wan's more of a defensive fighter. He can use the advantage of Obi-Wan being a defensive fighter by using his offensive tactics against him, and then using tactics where Anakin can't defend as well with to get him off his fucking back. Like, he's a very masterful fucking saber fighter, and a lot of that's just because Christopher Lee played Count Dooku, so he kind of established this whole form in a weird way. Like, so honestly, it's just on the virtue that true saber fighting was at least put into it where it actually makes sense. So yeah, it does make him posh and elitist, but it's because it's a very elite saber form of style. And there's an elegance. I love the curved saber too, because the curved hilt is also of that old school saber form as well. I mean, I have one from a saber forge from like in Oregon City. Like, I got a saber that is in that curved style because in a way it kind of makes sense and it's very elegant and it works really fucking well with like I don't know, man. I love that particular form. That saber style is really good. There's a reason why he was the fucking master of it. He ain't the only one that is like that, but I will say in common Star Wars media, he pretty much is, unfortunately. I mean, he shouldn't have to, but I mean, if you think about it, like he didn't really like the idea that Ventress was a dual wielder because he didn't like dual wielding sabers, but also he didn't like Grievous because he was just such a brute, you know. And despite them being his apprentices and shit, and having to train them, so I mean, Dooku is a very interesting character at the end of the day, though. And honestly, you don't have to like him, but you can still respect him. You can respect your enemy, but still hate them, or at least not like them. And he's one of those guys where I can at least respect. And hey, at least he went out without having to fucking say a word. He just took it like a champ. You know what I mean? So that's also respect too. Big's more of a pushover. I don't like that Grievous, but that is just that's to get along with him. Because he has a certain idea and respect to the idea, when it comes to a lightsaber. I mean, yeah, like this is more of a, I guess, expanding universe shit that I'm talking about because it's never really truly established, with this shit. To be fair, but I'm not gonna let Disney, dictate that as far as I'm concerned. And as far as I'm aware, they haven't even really changed that about him either. In fact, they really just kind of expanded upon it without having to really truly address it anyway. But either way, it's like, I mean, I will say, like, at least when it comes to like the Clone Wars from Tartakovsky, getting Tartakovsky, uh, What? Am I even saying his fucking name right? But like, if you've seen that show back in like 2003, there is a little bit of an element of him having like, you're too aggressive, you're this and that, and blah blah blah. Like, there's a little bit of an element, at least especially of Grievous, where it's like, you don't have, the patience and the ability to, like, fight in the way that needs to be done, like in the way that ought and is more proper, despite being a deadly fuck. And honestly, Grievous in that show is more deadly and competent and legitimately kind of scary in comparison to the movies or the animated show. You haven't? Oh, you got to look it up. Look up the Clone Wars 2003. I think there are some episodes on YouTube because even the fucking clone troopers are fucking unconditionally like go hard. They literally go hard for no fucking reason, bro. Like, and dude, Obi-Wan Kenobi literally leads a fucking goddamn charge with fucking spears on speeders and shit while in clone trooper armor. Dude, you would love the fuck out. It goes hard for no reason. You would love the fuck out of that show, bro. Oh my god, you gotta go find it. You gotta go check it out. I'll literally try to find a clip or something, share it to you just to fucking entice you because oh my god, you would love it. I'm not even kidding. You would love the shit out of it, bro. Like I like Trill's just bopping right now. I'll turn it up a little bit. Fuck it. Yeah, take another little pick break real quick. You know, fuck it. I haven't even said anything, even though it's not really that important. But I got a little cash up here in the comments if you want to send a little love, send a little tip my way or something. Not really encouraged, but it's there. Fuck it. Give me. Bitch, I'm in the trap, but you know that I am still Christian. If you running up, then you can talk to Smith and Wesson. I was down in Texas, now it's Detroit that I'm repping. Selling propane by the tank, lean by the gallon. Bobby boy, you felt like DJ Khaled. Eat some salad, and I'm counting up these bands, so my pocket's looking crowded. Bitch, I'm big chillin' in my propane palace. It's the propane palace. Propane palace. Bitch, I'm big chillin' in the propane palace. Propane palace. It's the propane palace. 2024, Hank Trill on the ballots. Tell you what, man, talking about goddamn Metro Boomhauer. Talking about that pew 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 gunpowder. Talking about that hash kid no sour. Talking about that fake money every motherfucker out, man. Wow, that place is very schizophrenic. That punk rock girl's playing. Yeah, let's see what time it is. Jesus fucking Christ. It's that time. You know what? Considering what time it is, I don't even want to say what time it is. And the fact that my homeboy is not even back yet, I think there was some quote, ladies and gentlemen, you got him. Mission accomplished. Kind of objectives and missions that have happened with my homeboy. Or he's just drinking and being merry or something. Probably a little both. Yeah, definitely both. I can only imagine once it comes back, the story I'm going to have. Oh, boy. what's awesome is that she kind of also really likes me too. Is she like because him and I like knew her literally when she was already beyond Blitz at one point at a bar called Scoreboard out here, and straight up was just like, you are now my like awesome friends. It's been like that since. And we were just like going to this little bar called Bar of Gods just because we're like, fuck it, we're gonna go there. And she just happened to be there. Play some games and shit, and there's a lot of fun, dancing and all this and that, hanging out, talking and stuff. A little fun, little merry time. And I was just like, oh shit. Went from hanging out with the boys, post Blazers game that was going on, playoffs or whatever the fuck, to an extra little fun time. And now I was like, oh fuck, I don't want to be a third wheel, so what am I doing? Well, I'm thinking too, like, what am I going to be doing after this now? Because I'm like, I need something to at least like chill with when it comes to like something to watch. And I'm like, I could screencast something. I could watch a film. And there's at least a few other options as well. Well, man, I actually don't remember too much of the last like couple episodes of that show from Darth Maul, or whatever. So I might rewatch that, but I'm like, But there's at least a few other things I need to watch too. So I'm like, do I watch that too? And plus, there's like at least one thing that Rosé's been begging me for a while to watch too. I think it's called like Outlanders or Outwaters or something. I'm just like, fuck. At this point, I feel like a prick because I just haven't. And I'm just watching all these other things. I know I could probably find it. I know he sent it to me as something. I'm pretty sure it's on Discord. I could probably find him. I'm like, motherfucker. I feel like a dick because like, I haven't seen it at all. Or even tried to even look it up or anything. I think I actually did see it like once when I was searching for shit. And I was kind of like, oh, that. But we were looking for some other shit. So I was like, I try to keep in my mind about that, but now I'm like, fuck. I forgot up until now at this point. I'm like, oh no. Was it like Paramount? Was it fucking Hulu? I don't even remember. Oh, I could probably just look it up. Was it Outwaters or Outlanders? I think it was Outwaters. I'll have to figure it out. I have time to rewatch the Ahsoka show. It was a bad show to rewatch, honestly. Well, I want to see. I know it's called, at least a show that he's talking about is called or it might be a movie. I think it's a movie. It's called The Outwaters, I think. If I put the out, I think it might. Okay, yeah, there's, yes, okay, now that is helping. Let's see. Oops. Oh, here we go. Whoa. Oh. Okay, it's a movie, but it is a horror movie, so definitely up my alley. But it's on Apple TV or Amazon Prime. Oh my god. Rosé, I gotta sail the seven seas to find that one. And look, I've actually tried this with screencasting before. When watching movies, like on sailing seven seas, and you try to link it to your TV, they literally will have a black screen. Oh, I've also done this with YouTube too, by the way. I'm not even joking. I literally will watch a movie on YouTube. I've tried to watch The Black Klansman and streamcast it on my TV back at home, and it would not it would literally be nothing but a black screen. But any other video, anything else, it would show up. So I don't know what it is, but sometimes I think TVs might have like certain ways to block shit when it comes to that because they want you to watch movies on the apps and whatever the fuck on the TV instead of screencasting it. I don't know, but it's like, what the fuck? At least a particular model that's at my house. I don't know about this, but I'm sure it could probably be fine with this, but I have no idea. I never tried it. Yeah, if you want to send a site, yeah. Because I'm sure I could probably find very simple stuff, from there and all that. But, don't send it here, obviously. I'm sure you already know. Telegram it to me because we don't need that spread around publicly. Sailing seven seas means you don't, spread that around too quickly. If people want to know, they got to find out on their own. It's called Know the Guy. You got to know a guy. Oh. I'll say, just simply looking up some shit like that, too, when it comes to sailing seven seas, doesn't really do you justice either. You gotta find the right ones. You can't just, find some random bullshit. You gotta find the right ones. Probably do a little last call, but won't end it quite yet. I'll chill for a little more. But like I said, if you want to send a little love, we got the Cash App link right down below, where you can show your little tips, but just tips. I might kiss him if the tips are shown. I'm partly kidding though. It is courage, but I'm not really too worried about it for now. I don't want to get that much fuck. Monetization will happen more as the watch hours, grow. So that's all that matters. So the longer this happens, even when you just look in the background, the better it is for me. The better it is for more. Especially if you want to see more beans. With these little doggos, but they're just too chill. And, you realize that your little ear is flipped over? Oh, boy. What are you doing? Beto. Oh my god, even she's been stretched. Oh, Lord of mercy. Hi, bud. Oh, you flipped your ear back. What's up, buddy? You just stole Jassie's spot. Yeah, Jassie's like, what the fuck? You little butt. A chunk? Good chunk. She's like, fuck it, I'm gonna be over here. You little chunk. You chunk? Are you a good chunk? Aw. You sweet little bean. What are you doing over there, Rito? You left me. Oh, you wanted a ball? You want your stress ball? Stress ball. Got your stress ball? Come here, Vito. Bring your stress ball. Good boy. Stress ball. Come here, boy. Vito, where are you going? Come here. What the fuck? Oh, my Lord. He's all mad. He's like, at least it's right there. I'm not comfortable. I must have it. Oh, don't give me that look. Oh my god. He's like, quit talking shit. That little fucking look on his face. Yeah, I'm talking shit about you and your stress ball. You silly boy. You almost lost it again. You goofy bean. It's like, fuck you. He's going to the cage. He's like, fuck you, I'm going over here. Aw, what a goofy little bean. What a sweet boy. He just wants his stretch ball by himself. What a silly boy. Yeah, that's on that boy laptop right now. I'm also kind of half tempted. After the stream, should I call Lugino and be like, where the fuck you at? Or should I just say, nah, I'm just like, leave him alone? Oh, yeah, I probably should leave him alone because I may or may not cock block him if I do. Who knows what's going on? Like, I mean, I will know eventually when he comes back, whenever that is. But I'm just like, what's going on there, huh? Is he returning, soon? Who knows? He literally could just walk in right now. I mean, there is that off chance, who knows? I wrap it up, 5 minutes later, he just pops in. It's happened before, actually, so who knows? Possibility. But, anyway, enough speculations, all that fun shit. Gonna kill the last little bit of his bone and then watch a little film, his food, and all that shit. And at the very least, see what happens. My whole little humble. Next time I stream, I'm sure I'll spill the beans at least a little bit of what happened without being too incriminating. Not that I think he'd really give that much of a shit, to be honest. Thanks. Idiot. Well, at least peace it out for now. On that fun little shit. But, dip, like I said, got a little tip jar down below. All that fun stuff if you don't want to sense it, but just a tip. But you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So, toodaloo buckaroos, and see you on the next one. So, it's the fuck. Bye.